Happy morning, students. So today we're going to discuss our new chapter, tissue. So in previous chapter we discussed about fundamental unit of life. So there we discussed what is cell and what are the types of cells and the cell organelle types and function we studied. Now we're going to discuss a group of cell, that is tissues. So tissue is considered to be a group of cells to do different functions. Again, here it's also classified into plant tissue and in animal tissues. So why we need this tissue? To give the protection and the mechanical support and structure to the plants and animals. So we're going to discuss in brief. Multicellular organisms are made up of millions of cells. Cells show division of labor and each cell performs a particular function efficiently. Such cells are grouped together and it is called tissue. A group of cells that are similar in structure and origin and perform similar function is termed as tissue. What is the utility of tissues in multicellular organisms? Multicellular organisms have millions of cells as we studied in the previous class itself, right? In previous chapter, fundamental unit of life, we discussed about the thing. Each group of cell is called tissue and it performs a special function efficiently. For example, muscle cells do function, contract and relax to bring movement. Nerve cells, it carry messages, and blood cells are tissues. So blood is a fluid connective tissues. These cells which are interconnected with the tissues, that is a group of cells, are called tissues. In plants, vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem, conduct water and food from one part of the plant to other parts. So multicellular organisms show division of labor. So here you can see plant tissue system. So in this video we are going to discuss a brief about plant tissue. So here you can see, here we can study the part of leaf, part of stem and part of root. And what are all the tissue which is present in it? It is of three types: dermal tissue, vascular tissue and crown tissue. So xylem and phloem are considered to be vascular tissues. So dermal tissue will be like upper dermis, upper epidermis and lower epidermis, right? So these are the example for plant tissue system. Are plants and animals made of same tissue? The answer is no. Animal tissue and plant tissue are different. Since animals are mobile, so they require more energy. Hence, more living tissues are required. So, plant tissue are stationary or sessile in nature, so they do not require much energy. Hence, more living tissues are not required. In animal tissue, animals move from one place to another in search of food, shelter. So, the process involved in locomotion. Yes. Hence, they need more energy and more tissues for living. In plants, most tissues provide structural strength and most of these tissues are dead and provide mechanical strength as easily the living one and need less maintenance. Another one example, one point is for the animal tissues, cell growth is uniformly distributed. Here in plant tissue, growth is limited to certain regions. Like if it is reached the apical, lateral, so depends upon the thing, the regions are limited with this growth. In animal tissue, structural organization of organ and organ system is more specialized and complex. Because here in animal, there were well developed systems, right? For example, respiratory, circulatory, excretory. So lot of systems are there in our animal. But in plant is not like that, right? So in plant tissue, the structural organization of organ is comparatively less complex. So due to difference in structure and function of plants and animals, they are made up of different types of tissues. So our question, are plants and animals made of same tissue? Answer is no. It is made up of different type of tissues to do different function. Here you can see the plant structure. Here we made a leaf structure and stem cross section and leaves cross section to see the inner part of the leaves, that is anatomy. Okay, so when you study the inner part, we are going to refer the term as anatomy. So we are going to study about the tissues. Plant tissues are of two types. One is meristematic and other one is permanent. Meristematic tissues are capable of cell division, but permanent tissues are mature cells are incapable of cell divisions. Simple tissue are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, based on the single types of cells. And complex tissue are composed of more than one type of cells, and again it classified into two types. One is xylem and other one is phloem. So this commonly called as vascular tissues. So these are the headings and the topics we are going to cover in this lesson. Plant tissues and animal tissues. Here you can see the difference between the plant tissue and animal tissue. The plant tissue are of two types. One is meristem and other one is what? Permanent, that is long lasting. Here in animal tissue it is divided into four types of cells: epithelial, muscular, connective, nervous. So epithelials are of four types: squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliator, glandular. Okay, so 5. Muscular, striated, smooth and cardiac. Connective, fluid, skeletal and proper. Nervous, that is nerve cells. So these are the classification of animal tissues. The classification of plant tissue are mainly based on two important criteria: on the basis of the part of the plant and the basis of the type of the cells which is present in the organism. Plants are immobile and henceforth have been provided with tissues made up of dead cells which provide structural strength. They have to endure unfavorable environmental situations like strong winds, storms, floods. So only the plants are made up of tissues. A tissue is a cluster of cells that are alike in configuration and work together to attain a specific function. Different types of plant tissue include permanent and meristematic tissues. So these we studied previous, right? So here in this diagram you can see the meristematic tissue and permanent tissue which given in this diagram. First we continue with what is meristematic tissue. These tissues have the capability to develop by swift division, that is in meristematic cell division. They assist in the major growth of the vegetation. Growth in length and growth in diameter of the plant are carried about by these cells. The meristematic cells are cubical, living cells with a big nucleus. These cells are meticulously crammed with no intercellular spaces. But in permanence, we will study about intercellular spaces. Okay. Depending on the section where the meristematic tissues are existing, they are categorized as meristem, intercalary, lateral and apical. So meristematic tissue are of categorized into three types: apical, intercalary, lateral. First we discussed about characteristic of meristematic tissue. So what are all the characteristic to follow in meristematic tissues? The cells of these tissues are commonly called meristem. The meristematic tissue has the ability or has the quality of self-renewal. Every time the cell divides, one cell remains identical to the parent cell and the other from specialized structure. They are very small and few vacuole. The meristematic tissue is living and thin-walled. The protoplasm of the cell is very dense. The meristematic tissues heal the wounds of the injured plant. How does the plant get injured? By the human or by the animals. The animals and humans are dependent upon the plant for food, right? Because it is a producer. So when we cut or when we pluck the leaf or when we break the stem, what happens? So that injury which has happened to the plant. But the plant does not cry. Isn't so? The plant, for animal and human being, there will be, if any injury happens, there will be like blood is flowing off. But not in plants like that. So we don't bear the pain of the plant. We don't know the pain, how the plant will suffer. But here in plant also, there will be the injury happen. That injury can heal by this meristematic tissues. The cells of the meristematic tissues are young and immature. They do not store food. They exhibit a very high metabolic activity. They possess a single, large and prominent nucleus. So these are about the characteristic feature of meristematic tissues.